our favorite, Rick.
Yeah.
Thanks, Diana. All right, I'm going to take a page from Jody's playbook, and let's start with a moment of centering silence and meditation. Gracious Spirit, we take this opportunity to set aside our distracting thoughts or stressful problems and finding the spaces, looking for the spaces between those thoughts and those issues, dropping down into the silence of our hearts where we might find the hope and the peace of your light surrounding us. Amen. So a few weeks ago, I was at one of the places where I do library class. It was the same one where I was coming in with a cart. And I had this one class where one of the students just launched a verbal attack against another student in the class. It was just a beautiful display of bullying, intimidation, complete with colorful language. And so I paused waiting for the classroom aides to intervene, but nobody moved. I guess they figured, well, I'm the teacher, I'm the one that needs to act. So I put myself in between the bully and the victim, and I said, we'll say his name is Jacob. Jacob, either be quiet or leave. And to which he simply escalated his verbal fuselage. and then I kept trying to get in closer, getting in between his words, and he just kept getting faster and louder. And then I resorted to sign language. I was going, and I was totally hooked. And then I feel this hand against my back. It was one of the aides, back off. So then I just kind of stepped back, and the aides came in and dealt with it. But that was a total impasse for me. It was just a battle of escalating, push me, pull you. So I was really riled up by it, because that was the second time in 3 weeks that it had happened. And after the first incident, we separated the classes. But then we had Thanksgiving, and I forgot, oh yeah, we're not supposed to bring these two groups together. And so we came together again, and boom, the same thing happened. But I was at my wit's end, and I had, contacted the teacher and said, we need to deal with this. And she's a new teacher. She said, well, I really don't know what to do. It's my first year. And got a deer in the headlights. So then I reached out to the administrator and said, I need your help here. And every week I'm on a conference call with some friends who have done a lot of deep inner work. So I brought up this issue and I said, okay, I admit it. I'm hooked, I'm stymied, I'm stumped. I don't know what to do about this. Because I'm supposed to deliver content, I'm supposed to deliver a lesson, and there's just no regard for civility or anything from this kid. So Bonnie is on the call, and she says to me, well, obviously it sounds like this is a pretty wounded child. So Rick, can you find a place in yourself where you are feeling wounded and maybe out of control and desperate? How would you like somebody to speak to you if you were feeling like that kid was feeling? So she suggested some words. She said, how about something like, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you. And I thought, yeah, that would feel pretty good, if, because I've had anger and stuff at especially my mother, and if she had maybe apologized at some point, that would have felt pretty good. So then Bonnie went on to say, well, this is actually kind of a mantra that comes from method of reconciliation, and I'm sure some people here have heard of it, ho'oponopono. It's the Hawaiian method of reconciliation. And apparently it's a tradition throughout the entire South Pacific Islands. And people in Hawaii need to get mad. I thought that was paradise. But anyway, they have this method, and it was sort of modernized for the modern world by a kahuna, a woman whose name I'm not remembering. Morna, yes, thanks. And because she had some exposure to other philosophies, and she kind of integrated, created a hybrid, and she created 14 steps. And then one of her students was, let's see if I get his name right, Hugh Len. I know his last name is Hugh Len. So he was Hawaiian, he was a psychiatrist, and he was asked to take over the ward of a mental hospital in Hawaii, which he said, no, I don't want any part of that chaos. But they kept after him, because apparently he was well respected throughout Hawaii. So finally he relented, and he went into this hospital. Who's heard this story before? Okay.
Half the book, I've read it over and over.
Oh, okay. So he goes, he finally says, okay, I'll go. But I'd rather stay at home. I could do this from home. He said, no, you have to be on site. So he comes into the office, but he does make one criteria. He says, I will not see the patients. These are people who are really dangerous and very ill. He said, I will simply, I will take their files, but I won't deal with them. I won't interact with them face to face. And things, even with the staff, talk about a group home staff, the staff would they would walk down the halls like this because they didn't want to turn their back to anybody because they could be attacked at any time. People were calling in sick because it was such a toxic work environment. So all he does is he goes into this office and he puts the file patient X in front of him, and he does this ho'oponopono method. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. And of course he dropped into his heart as he did this, and then he sat down and moved to the next file. And as the story goes, within 3-year period of time, I think, so not very long period, gradually the whole thing started to shift. People got less violent. The residents got less violent. And then they didn't need shackles on anymore. And then their medication was reduced. And then they didn't need any medication. And then they were actually released. And the only difference was what he was doing in that office. And the staff, the morale went up, people started coming to work. Pretty soon they had more staff than they needed because they didn't need to restrain everybody. And eventually they closed the entire ward, just through the power of this conscious, unconditional love. That, and again, it goes back to what Art said last week about, and we've touched on it, we're in this unified field, everything is connected, so if you introduce the element of unconditional love, it radiates out and affects everyone and everything. So I thought, wow, who knows if it's true. I went online and I found the interview with him, and underneath under the comments, somebody commented, oh, this didn't really happen, yada, yada, yada. And so, but I don't care if it's true or not, I just know that it's useful. I thought, I think it's useful. So I did it for myself, and I thought of this student. And I just did it a couple times as a meditation. And then the next week rolled around and I went back to school and I had that group again. And it was smooth as glass. That boy was there, but he was not aggressive at all. And of course later I found out from the teacher at the end of the day that he was back on his meds. So who knows what really caused it, but I mean, that's like, I don't really care. All I care is it went really well, and I'm going to keep doing it because I found it really healed something inside of me, and that's what this Dr. Hugh Lenz says. I'm really addressing something in me that's wounded, and then Bing, it shows up over there as taking care of whatever's wounded in the other person. So it seems to be quite a powerful method, and it's one of the easier things I've ever tried.
Well, the thing is that if someone tells you a problem, then it becomes your problem, and you have to ho'oponopono on someone else's, because now it's become part of you. So it does that unified field. It makes us all take care of, and it does work, because a lot of the people that worked at that hospital, they interviewed them, and they attested to the fact that that really happened.
Yeah.
That those people were criminally insane, and they were, healed. So it's pretty amazing. It's life-changing. That's a crazy.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, so I made a sheet here with resources for overcoming obstacles, and I put 12 copies back there.
Thank you.
So it's got the phrases that go with the method, and then a couple of YouTube video references and a website reference. And along the way in my reading, I found a nifty quote from Pema Chodron, which kind of tells a story along the same lines of how she responded with unconditional love rather than reactively, and it shifted the whole thing. And then the last quote is by a woke person. She's a spiritual teacher named Jack O'Keefe, and she's basically saying that we come from nothing, the formlessness, and then we come into form. So we become someone in particular, and only purpose in our deepest, 11 million per second.
It's actually, well, basically, it's actually like 10,000 bits for the conscious mind per second, which is like, sounds like a lot.
Right.
But then this unconscious mind is in the millions, many millions.
Yeah.
So it's.
I think they said 11 million per second is the
it's all per
unconscious
second,
mind.
Yeah.
So what does that tell you about how little we really know consciously?
Yeah.
So this process is really nifty as far as it's requires humility to say, I'm sorry. Well, what did I do? I didn't cause. But if it's in our attention, then we're aware of it, and we become liable for responding, being able to respond with love to whatever that is.
Because I can say, this is what Jesus did. He basically said, forgive. He's looking all the time, for, to take on whatever there is around him to take on.
I know. And
that we all have that Christ capacity. It's not incredibly impossible to figure out. It's like there's always I don't know how I want to say this. All the time I find myself saying, "Oh God, I'm so sorry. We are doing blah 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 blah." It's because I'm part of that field too.
Right. I mean, you could apologize on behalf of the United States of America.
Exactly. All the time, I tell the earth,
or the earth,
please forgive us for what we do. We love you so much. Whatever. It's just part of when you really recognize, no kidding, you're part of everything. There's no reason why you would say, well, I'm better than that. I would never do that.
We're all in that boat.
I mean, we'd like to do that. Our ego would be very happy to say, well, I'm better than that.
Yeah.
There's within every one of us the saint and the murderer, all of it.
Right. Yeah. Yep. It's all in there.
I just kept thinking, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do.
Exactly. That's what I was.
How many of us could say that if we're?
Right.
Yeah, I know.
But isn't it the truth? The way if they knew what they were doing, they wouldn't do it. That's true for the people in our lives who do hateful things. They really knew they wouldn't.
Do you think if we had a whole group of people saying that phrase together, maybe just solve the division in our country because of politics, that we could have an effect? I've thought about that a lot, because I know we're probably all doing it individually, but what if we had a group of people?
Yeah.
Group effect.
Yeah. What you're talking about is called subtle activism, when many people gather together and focus meditatively and prayerfully on the same thing. It does multiply it.
Yeah. I think it would have a positive.
Yeah.
Jared?
I was just going to say, just the acknowledgement of saying that their behavior or them were separating yourself from them requires forgiveness.
Exactly.
That's where you're wrong, that's where you're wrong is you already acknowledge there is a separateness. So you say, forgive me,
Forgive
or
us.
let's have forgiveness. Because,
Right.
yeah, Course in Miracles will teach that forgiveness and at-one-ment is the same. Cause and effect are not separated by time and reality, you know?
Right.
That if you forgive, you're at the one-ment, or
Right.
atonement, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, that's actually what this is. It's
Yeah.
at-one-ment, it's atonement.
Yeah.
And we're doing the atoning. It was not all on Jesus' shoulders. Each one of us is a child of God and we're able to respond in this way. Vera.
Can we do that, since it was such a lovely suggestion from Rebecca? Can we do
Oh.
1 minute even of the group meditation saying, I
Yeah.
love you, I'm sorry, please forgive me,
Thank you.
thank you?
It doesn't
And-
really matter what order it is.
And if we can do that, and it might be good even saying it aloud, so we have our voices
Yes.
rising,
The vibration in there.
the
Yeah.
vibration of our
Good.
voices. So if we can do that, we can start right now instead of always
Yeah.
putting things off.
Right,
Yeah.
great idea.
Great.
So can you recommend?
Just a couple more points and then let's do that.
Okay.
So, I've worked with Pamela, and one thing that I learned in working with you is, without knowing it, I was sort of laboring under the illusion that this was up to me, like little me, the little I. But no, there's always at our core, we're connected to the big I. So, so my little ego, my little mind doesn't have to figure it out, and we can leave some of it to the mystery, the mysterium tremendum. And so who knows exactly how it works. Just these easy phrases, please forgive me, I'm sorry, thank you, I love you. But the point is, like in one of the values in unity, is to take action, especially if we're doing it from a heart-centered source. You take that action and leave the rest up to God. Paul says we might plant the seed and we might water it, but God gives the growth. And who really knows how a seed turns into a tree? We don't know, but we trust that it will have an effect. Yeah.
And again, if you read the books, you aren't asking God for atonement, you're asking yourself to
Yeah.
forgive yourself.
Right.
For being aware of the problem, or causing a problem, or being part of a problem, you know.
Yeah, it's acknowledging our connection to the oneness, that we are part of this. We're not
Right,
separated from it. So it seems like the theme of prepare ye the way of the Lord. I put that in there because that's about letting go of our illusions of separateness, and then opening to the oneness and letting the oneness flow through us as it will. So that's what Mary did, and the Magnificat. The angel shows up. Oh, you are with child. She would have been perfectly normal and natural to say, "What? I'm not married. What do you mean I'm going to give birth?" But no, she didn't. She said, "I am the servant of the Lord. Let it be with me according to thy word." And so she yielded, and she opened, and she received. So that's the invitation to us all. It's a pretty good trade-off to release our small-mindedness in return for wonderful Counselor, Almighty King, the Everlasting Father, the Prince of Peace.
Yeah.
So, shall we do our meditation?
And if you want to start, I was thinking like that little thing, singing bowl. You start the chime when the energy with
You're the
that.
musician.
Yeah, do a boom.
And just remind us of the order we're going to do, so we're all in.
Okay. So, would it be useful or helpful to, there's that sheet there too. Can we like create an energetic circle and put into the circle issues or individuals that we would like to interact with? So it could be something societal, it could be something individual.
We're gonna make a real circle or just?
Let's make a real circle.
You're familiar with it.
Just maybe.
Yeah, why don't we stand?
Standing or sit.
Make a
Well, we're
circle.
saying
Yeah.
Standing would be
Yeah,
easier.
okay, that works.
All right.
Then we don't have to.
Two more copies.
Oh, yeah, actually, this one.
You can share.
I know it already.
You can share.
You might know it.
I don't have a copy, I'll have to share
Sorry,
it, I
forgive.
suppose.
He's gonna do it, sorry, forgive.
Let's expand our circle to include beyond that.
Vera, is this the one?
Yeah, but it's okay, yeah.
Or,
You can do your back.
that's all right. Okay. That's fine. I don't need to do my back. I didn't realize I was
I'll be
right
right
in front
You
of
have to
that.
forgive your
This
back.
will be call and response.
What did you
Call
say?
and response, so I'll call out the line and then you guys respond. Then I'll call the next
Then
line.
we can relax.
Then you don't have to
Okay,
remember.
okay. All right.
And you can hold hands without having the paper in front of you. So here's what we'll do. We'll center ourselves by drawing our attention into our heart space. Mona Lisa smiling to our heart space, the place of unconditional love and light. And then we'll hear the dish, the gong, the singing bowl ring, and then feel free to introduce any issue or group or individual into the circle by speaking the name of that entity, and then we'll go through the mantra. Okay, so let's get centered. And please feel free to speak into the circle the names of people or
Trump.
groups.
Loretta.
Gridley.
Dan,
Ethan.
Heather,
Fran,
Nate,
United States.
Laura.
Myself.
Earth.
Excellent.
Okay. Dallas.
Staying centered and focused with our attention in the center of our heart space, a place of unconditional light and love. We call out, I am sorry.
I'm sorry.
Forgive me.
Forgive me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I love you.
I love you.
Dwelling in the energy of the moment, which is the eternal moment of God time.
We can keep saying
Let's
it
keep saying
also.
it
Just
well,
keep
yes.
saying it and just keep saying it, even if it's not in the same thing.
Please forgive me.
Please forgive me.
And,
yes.
Please forgive me.
and then we can keep saying it also without even being in unison. Just let those words come out, let the rhythm go, and let the energy flow. I am. What is it again? I'm sorry.
sorry.
Please forgive me.
Please forgive me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I love you. I am sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. I am sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. Please forgive me. Please forgive me. Please forgive me. I'm sorry. I love you. Thank you. Please forgive me. I'm sorry. Thank you. I love you.
I'm sorry.
Please forgive me. I'm sorry. I love you. Thank you. Please forgive me. Thank you. I'm sorry. I love you.
Please forgive me. Thank you.
Ho'oponopono. So it is.
Thank
Ready?
you.
I always wanted to do that with a group.
Is that how you attend? Did you?
Yeah, that's how Spirit wants to end. So. Anybody else want a copy of it?
Beautiful. Fun.
So did you, how was that? I felt, I'm all tingly. Nice job. I love, so this.
I'm happy to be here today, as always. Let me send some peace with every word I say. Let me share the love. This is what I pray. Let me sing to lift up the brokenhearted. Let me find some love in every moment. I breathe peace to my world, even when my heart is feeling weak. Let go of the past. Let go of judging people. Let's open up and let the light shine through. Replenish me with overflowing kindness. Let me bring a ray of hope through the darkness. Let me bring some comfort to everyone I know. Let me bring a smile everywhere I go. I breathe peace into my world, even when my heart is feeling weak. Let go of the past, let go of judging people. Let's open up and let the light shine through. I breathe That aligned pretty nicely with the daily word today.
It truly does. That's so beautiful. It's so easy, so nice to get a message that
Even when we're weak.
even when we're weak, we can do it. Yeah, we can. We can do it.